Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast. I'm Tim McGarry, joined by my comedy colleague,
Damon Quinn.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start, we have a very special announcement. Now, I want to ask you a question. How far does a tenner get you these days? Barely a pint, maybe a meal and deal and a packet of crisps, or half a takeaway if you're feeling fancy. But that same 10 quid could help Northern Ireland's only children's hospice bring a bit of joy to a child with serious medical needs. We're talking laughter, playtime and proper family moments. Not what you'd expect when you hear the word hospice. It takes a lot to keep that care going, and every pound raised stays right here in Northern Ireland. So, if you've got a spare tenner to spare, what should they do, Damon?
Well, if you've got a spare tenner, what you could do is you could text CARE, C-A-R-E, to 70255 and make a donation and spread some smiles today.
It's only a tenner. It's not very much, is it, to the Northern Ireland Children's Hospice? Please give as much as you can. And, by the way, before we start, I have to say, we are delighted to say that we have a brand new sponsor. I was walking up the Lisburn Road the other day, and I met a man called Sean Lawler. Do you know Sean Lawler? You ever heard of the Cambridge Barber Shop? Sean Lawler is a character, I would say. A big man on the Lisburn Road, and he runs the Cambridge Barber Shop, and he looked at me and he said, Tim, you need a haircut. And he's absolutely right, I do need a haircut. I haven't been to the Cambridge in a while, but the Cambridge are now sponsoring this particular episode. I just have to say they are absolutely fantastic. They have two multi-award-winning Cambridge barbershops. One on the Lisburn Road, 623 Lisburn Road, the road's oldest and longest running barbershop. Quality haircuts and shaves since 1996. And they've one in Stranmillis Road, 9 Stranmillis Road, right beside the Ulster Museum, Botanic Gardens, Queen's University. No appointments necessary. Just walk in. Great student discounts, 6 days a week. 4 barbers in each shop. And you can follow the Cambridge on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And Sean Lawler himself, who is, as I say, a bit of a character. He slags you. He does slag you. Go follow him on TikTok and go at It's Only Wee Sean. By the way, I used to go to the Cambridge. I haven't been in years. And I do need to go back because this is getting a bit long. Our guest today, Joby Fox, however, does not need to go to the Cambridge barber shop. Well, no, they they'll trim your beard for you at the Cambridge.
I can't do that. I do occasionally get my beard trimmed here. So yeah.
At the Cambridge is definitely the place to be. So thank you very much to Sean Lawler and everybody at the Cambridge. If you're a student round at Queen's, go to the one at the bottom of Stranmillis or up the Lisburn Road. No appointment necessary, but a crack, and the crack is very, very good at the Cambridge barbershop, and the haircuts are very, very good too. As I said, our guest today does not need a haircut. But Joby, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I might need to give you an introduction because some people will. We have interviewed politicians, actors, writers.
I don't even know who I am.
People will go, who the fuck's that bloody fella there? If I say the name Joby Fox, some people will go, oh yes, I remember him. He was in a band. He was in several bands. He was in a band called the Bank Robbers. He was in a band called Energy Orchard.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
And he's famous for some other things that we're going to talk about later on. But you are yet another one. There's too many of you people on this show. Westies.
Westies. You know, there's obviously, a lot of Westies actually with you guys. So, it's all
not just Westies, because we're a specific street.
That's right.
Riverdale Park South and in Andytown. And I mean, who came out of that? Well, there was me. There was Uncle Andy himself, Marty Reid. Yes, Marty Reid is a Riverdale man.
Yeah, and you could go on.
There was you.
Yes.
There was Billy McLean, the boxer.
Billy McLean, the fiery man. Yeah. Let me think now. There was. Wee Mickey drinks up in the PD. That's you forgot about him. Malachy lives round the corner.
Because I remember his book about 1972. He talks about that area.
There must have been something in the water.
I think it's more the pylon. You know the pylon.
So?
There was a big pylon at the top.
The electric pylon.
I'm not joking.
It's sending out waves. Talent waves.
There must be some kind of something going on there hasn't been discovered just yet. But it's fascinating. Like that street there. It's the M1 just runs all. Yeah. Down the back of it, and I moved back there for a while, and I was, Jesus, the sound of the motorway, and I mentioned it to a few people, and they said they can't hear it, and it was like, it was right up there, all the time,
Because our houses were the ones that actually faced the motorway.
That's right, and McGall-Payne's Yard.
Yeah, and McGall-Payne's Yard, and that was, I grew up with all of it, so I never really noticed. But what I did notice is when I lived somewhere else, how quiet it was.
That's exactly it. And you know what I mean? You get used to the whole idea of the sound of it,
So you're a child of the Troubles then, Joby? Or what time, you're kind of our age, are you?
62.
Yeah, well,
I'm
you're
62.
kind of our age,
Yeah, so when I hit, let me see, 69, 70, 70s was when I started to, sort of figure out there was something going on, there was something strange, in the neighbourhood sort of thing. And then, obviously over the sort of 4 or 5 years after that, it starts to get a bit more clear in your head, that, what was going on. But we were all fairly, siege mentality. It was, that whole area there, I didn't really break out of it till music came along and punk and
Well, I did send you, the Riverdale Street Directory for 1960.
That's it.
And what was interesting in that is the amount of policemen who
in Riverdale,
up in
Manners time?
Yeah, I mean, there was about 4 or 5 RUC men.
Oh, it was built for, Riverdale was built for ex-army personnel. And and it was a guy around here called Chum, actually. His father built the whole estate. It's a private estate. Right. And, some people that were living in the estate didn't recognise till recently that it's a private estate.
Yeah, it was never housing executive.
Yeah, it was never housing executive. Yeah. So I remember also, at the start of the Troubles, there was a policeman 2 doors down, and I remember my mother and father feeling really, really conflicted about. Around about 69, 70, someone put like a petrol bomb. That's what they did, it was like some form of intimidation. Put the petrol bomb on the windowsill, and lo and behold, 24 hours later, they're packing their stuff in the way.
Because they all, they all disappeared within the outbreak of the Troubles.
That's right.
And in fact, I remember across the street, where across the motorway,
yes,
there was like a farmer's field. It was like a farmer's house.
That's right.
Field, and they used to have the 12th there.
That's right.
And used to see all the further
the 12th and Andytown.
The 12th and Andytown.
Yeah, no, there used to be Orange March. No, there used to be
They
Orange
used to
March.
come over to use our toilets.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? There was
Jesus, great days.
There was a lot of fraternising going on in those days.
We should bring it back, Joby. I'm a favour of that. More fraternising.
More fraternising. I agree totally.
Yes, let's propose that. The 12th comes back to Andytown.
Hosted by Uncle Andy himself.
Exactly.
These guys could lead the way there. I reckon.
Andytown 12th.
So instead of joining the RA like in most sensible people,
how do you know I didn't join the RA?
you decided to go into music and stuff.
That's right.
And you became a musician. Was that in the family? Was there just the punk era, or what happened to you? How did you get into that?
How did I get into it? It was my brother played guitar. The oldest brother, and sort of looked up to him and all that. Blah blah blah. But then I was literally standing on the corner one day at Finnegy, as we did. I was a corner boy, basically, and I could hear this music coming out of a garage. And I was looking at this is literally the case, like, I was looking at my mates, and they were all talking shite. The same shite that they were talking the night before. And I heard this music, and it kind of drew me to it, and I was like, fuck this here. I seen a guy I knew coming out of the garage, and I said, then what's going on in there? He says, that's my uncle, he plays in the band. I said, do you think they would let me come in and listen to it? Like, he says, I don't think there's no problem. I went in, sit down. They brought me in. Yes, kid, come on ahead, sit in the corner. Would you want to pick up this equipment, help us, give us a lift to the van? And it sort of started there. And then a couple of months later, I came round when they rehearsed, helped them, then took me out to gigs. And they were all kind of pretty kind of intellectual kind of guys, and but they were great musicians. They were called Uncle Waldo, and they took me around, down to Newcastle, Ballycastle, all these different places. And then I met this guy from Ashankel, who was another roadie. He picked them up in his van. He was called Billy Maxwell, the son of Reverend Maxwell from top of Ashankel. And then that created a whole new dimension for me. I was picking up at the club bar, and I was getting known by the various musicians and everything. But me and Billy were like an odd thing. The Brits would stop us, and Good Vibrations, the movie there, you see there's a part in it where the Brits
stop the van and they ask them for religion, and they're all going, well, they're Protestants and Catholics all together.
That happened to us regularly. That happened to us.
But that was the thing about the music scene, that it transcended the whole sectarian divide. Like.
Absolutely, of course it did. But I think it's important to say, and not to be wishy-washy, I still have a political analysis, but that doesn't mean that you just can't get along with people because A, of their religion, or B, of their politics. You have to be able to sort of just try to get along. And there's so much, what's the word for it, perception of people, preconceived ideas rather of people. And when you actually sit down, you talk to people, then you start to see how much we've got in common. Even the whole working class
chatting
thing.
And debating things sensibly and reasonably. No, we'll never catch on. That's
Exactly.
You ever heard of the internet, my friend?
That's it. I mean, the idea is,
fuck you and your beliefs.
It's just so. It's
Stop
so,
saying something I disagree with.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
It's boiled down to what we don't agree with, as opposed to what we don't agree about, as opposed to what we do agree about, and I find that there, in growing older and everything, it's almost like a mental illness. Do you know what I mean? It's like why would you put that above the thing that you don't agree about above all the other things that you do agree about? It's like you're looking for trouble. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the whole political storm at the moment is, I feel quite strongly about it. That's why I say, I have a political analysis too about the education minister going to Israel and all the rest of it. I'm upset about that myself, but I don't want to see I want to see
collapse.
Yeah, stormy collapse. I'd rather we just get on. Yeah. But I'm not happy about that, I have to say too. I'm pretty disgusted about it, quite frankly.
So the bank robbers,
yes.
they are still legend to this day. You all nearly ended up in jail, didn't you?
Absolutely, couple of times. There's some little known stories. Actually, the big one.
So the bank robbers were when the bank robbers formed? They were a big band around Belfast and Ireland. They nearly made it.
We felt that we accomplished things. Yeah. You know what I mean? And this whole made it thing. Utmost respect. Like, I don't really see things like that. In life. I see that we accomplished a few things, and personally, it was very rewarding to me and the rest of the band. But we were part of the sort of 78, 79 kind of post-punk, if you like.
Right.
And
you were only 16, 17 this year?
Yeah, would have been, would have been. And it was a funny thing about the street, actually. Again, there was a guy on the street who would walk up that side of the street. I'd make sure I'd walk down that part of the street because I didn't want to make eye contact with him. I felt that I couldn't relate to him at all. And as I was growing up, it was a guy called Liam Carville. And, and I thought Liam was like a snob, you know what I mean? Little did I know. He corrupted me, no, Liam, and there he was, and I was like, I'd be uncomfortable walking down. And then one day I was going on a tour, and he'd lent a keyboard to one of the guys in the band, and he asked to come along on the tour with us, just a small jaunt, and I jumped in the back of the van. And I seen him, been trying to avoid him all my life, up that point. Was like, oh, fuck. And he says hello, he's very polite. And now I just, that was, so anyway, me and him became great friends. Mm-hmm. And he had a piano. He started saying, look, I'm crap at lyrics, Why did you start writing a few lyrics and stuff, I was still roadieing, and I'd go down there and I would, I'd say, here's my lyrics, and he'd go, right, okay, sit up beside me there and, knock a tune out or two, and then all the other guys started sort of coming in from there, Shamie O'Neill.
So what was the actual lineup then?
There was Shamie O'Neill, who just recently died.
Passed away,
God bless him. And there was Liam Carville, there was a guy called John MacDonald, and basically that was the four of us. So I remember our first meeting, and I'm hoping you guys can relate to this, when we actually sat round the table and looked at each other in the eyes and tried to be serious. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always remember this. We would just feel about the face laughing. And literally, I'm not exaggerating. At one point, we were all climbing up on the table, looking at each other. That was the energy we had, we were just like, for fuck's sake, we can't be serious. We cannot be serious, Yeah. So, but from there, then we started, we got the name of the bank robbers, which was provocative, of course. And then we started going out and gigging, but with this great logo, and we had a thing called the Daily Robber, so we were really great at promoting ourselves. with a thing called the Daily
I remember
Rover.
the logo,
Yeah.
Did you spray it in walls and things
Yes,
all over
we
the
sprayed
place?
it in Colony House.
And it was
for
basically,
fuck's sake.
it was like
yeah.
a mask sort of thing. wasn't
That's
it?
right, with a thing across. We done the hospital, we done casement, we done it all over the fucking place, and then we were essentially a West Belfast band for a while.
Right.
And as I say, Colony House and everything, we were up and fucking giving it back.
Shinners not going.
Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them.
Were you saying the Shinners are in favour of bank robbers? Is that
Fuck
what you're
them.
saying?
That's it. We went ahead and
Is that
done
what
it.
you're playing?
Exactly. We'll say that. I know there's a bit of a correlation, but we'll not get into that. But so we were essentially a West Belfast band, and then a guy, Shimmy worked in the Europa. The manager of the Europa got interested in the band. A man called Mark Walmsley from Birmingham. And then we started creeping into the town, you know what I mean, like a fucking virus,
Yeah.
And then we started putting posters up around the town. We were playing the Pound and all those places. And the what do you call it, the city council started getting annoyed. Who's this fucking band of bank robbers are everywhere? We were like fucking, putting
Ubiquitous.
posters everywhere. Exactly. So then they said, blah, 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 it was in the papers, and we were like, well, this fucking publicity thing's great, And then the next posters we put up was the Belfast City Council presents the bank robbers,
Right.
So, but it always struck me that fucking, like during the Troubles and all that was happening, the fucking council, the Belfast City Council, could find fucking time to have a go at fucking us, a wee band that were trying to get on in life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was a bit fucking weird. But our manager, as I say, managed the Europa. We were hanging around the Europa, so then we got to know the bands that were coming in. Mark, our manager, would have put us together with these guys and started making contacts. And then we actually done the £50 note thing. We printed £50 notes instead of the Bank of England. We put the bank robbers appearing at, and we'd done that on a small scale here in Belfast. Mm-hmm. Again, the BBC and the various media outlets loved it, and they all jumped on it, and it was like the fucking this funny band from West Belfast, and that kind of took off, and then things just started developing from there, and the whole £50 notes thing. I know I'm leaping forward, but we ended up signed to EMI Records,
Right.
and a couple of years later, and we'd done it there. Only we'd done it on such a scale that it was like
Did EMI approve of this?
They did, but there was a kind of almost like a waiver for.
All right, so the EMI says, best of luck, and you started printing 50 quid notes with.
Yeah.
But they're obviously not. I mean, when you say they're counterfeit, technically, you're done for making
I
counterfeit
get done
money.
for counterfeit and forgery, yes.
But did they look like money? I mean, were they real or were they?
They did. They had this texture, and it was rank Xerox machine, which was at that time was pretty revolutionary kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could you have
Double print.
mistaken it for real money?
Tim, trust me, man. We haven't got the time to go through.
Have you got any with you? I could do with 50 quid.
Yeah, the amount of fucking laughs, man. From anything from, I'll just try and scale this out. Anything from being on the tube, and you just throw one in the wee fucking galley there,
Right.
And you sit back and you just go, and then the next thing, someone spots it, and you can see them going, we're all sitting there going, the band. We've done this every day when we're on the tube. And then the people that were going out dragging their feet and all trying to knock it out. Oh, fuck me. From that to, I remember the day we were doing the whole publicity stunt with boxes off it. I think it was
This
a
is London, yeah.
$250,000. And it was Baker Street, and we were in a convertible. And it was a nice summer's day, as I recall. And we went down. As regards to the EMI thing, they said, you can do it. If anything comes back, you're taking the rap and all of that.
Right.
So that was that. We knew what we were doing. And we got down Baker Street, I recall this, and we just, it was quite posh area, and the next thing, we all started grabbing, fucking turfing the money out all over the fucking place. Fucking brake lights going on, people fucking, we'd speed off, and we're pacing ourselves laughing,
Right, so people grabbing money like
they just thought it was like,
free.
something's going on here, someone's fucking throwing money around the place, so
Right.
let's go. So the press got a hold of that again, and they were really wildly interested.
Sorry, before we get to the press and the
problem.
counterfeit,
Yeah.
did that fucking work? Did anybody go, oh, Jesus, the bank robbers are appearing at such and that must go and
of
see
course.
them?
Yeah, I think. You see, that's the thing about telling a story. There's that whole strain of it.
Yeah, did
Do
it
you know
work?
what I mean? Yeah, it did, of course.
Yeah.
And then simultaneously, we were, you know, running concurrently with that. Or you know, our career was doing well. We were getting played on Radio 1. We're doing Radio 1 sessions. We were playing in Maida Vale. We've done a couple of sessions in Maida Vale, and we were meeting really interesting people. We're signed to EMI Records.
Right.
We're Beatles, David Bowie, fucking Queen. You know, we were in the same fucking stable as them guys, and. You know, I bumped into fucking Bowie at one stage, you know.
Did you meet David Bowie?
I didn't meet him now, I have to say. I fucking...
Bumped into him.
But I encountered him. It's probably the best way of putting it, you know. But that's, you know, I went as a VIP guest up to Milton Keynes, and I got fucking pissed out of my mind. And they cleared the area for him to go on stage. And the band were on stage playing everything. He was at the bottom of the ramp. But I went for a piss. And they hadn't got me, so I was like sauntering fucking around, trying to get round to the front of the fucking the front of the show, and I'd been telling everybody was saying, "What have you meet Bowie?" I said, "Fuck Bowie, like I don't give a fuck who Bowie is. What do I care, you know?" And what I caught, so I'm done with pissing, I'm sauntering around. The next thing, I fucking see Bowie, and I go, "Oh fuck!" You know, like a big girl, you know, nearly fucking passed out of it. And he looked at me. Now picture Bowie. If anybody know Bowie, they know that he has a kind of a fuck's sake, get a grip of yourself sort of vibe, you know. And that's literally what he did. He went, "For fuck's sake," sort of thing, you know. Fucking get a grip of yourself, man. I was like, you know, after telling everybody, of course, I was fucking wasn't bothered about it.
So you got the rap in the door though over the notes eventually.
I did, and you know, as I say, it's hard to compress the whole thing. It was over a couple of years. Bankroll was done really well, and you know, the £50 notes were like, you know, a big thing. People still talk about it now after all these fucking years, and recall being what
you were prosecuted.
Yes, I was, aye. And I recall, remember in London they had the wee bowler hats, the wee guys that would have went to the city. Yeah. And I heard them over here, I heard these chaps bloody put these £50, who the hell are these guys on? I'm sitting there going, this is fucking great. So, yeah, I mean, we done the £50 note thing, and then we lost the contract. I went home. Mervyn Crawford, saxophone player of the band, and he was running the company, and he got me a job. And fair play to him. And I was working away, I think about 6 months, as I say, after I lost the contract. Sort of forgot about it. We were cautioned up in...
sorry to interrupt, but you're at one stage, you're VMI, you're Radio 1 and all that, and then you're back in West Belfast. Is that kind of deflated, or do you go... I had my chance, that was it, it was a bit of crack and move on, or is that...
In some respects, no, you really can't after you've had an experience like that. Or, you know, my thing was get back to London, and I did, you know, and I formed down at the Orchard and done even better and all that. Again, that's another story. But, you know, we're back there anyway in Belfast, and the point is, I was cautioned in Scotland Yard during that period, you know, they came to MI, they did say, right.
You got a caution.
Got a caution, sort of forgot about it. And what I call it, back at Belfast, working away, and come back from work. Joe, my wife, says, the police were here the day, you know, and I was like, well, what the fuck was that all about? You know, could have been anything, you know, being could have been anything from fucking, you know, people. Being what I call on the Army Council from fucking, you know what I mean, like a parking ticket, you know, but no, so I goes, right, okay, fuck this. So I rang. It was Woodburn that left a wee number, you know. And I love telling this story because it's just so, you know, not what people say about West Belfast and the police, the relationship they had. And I rang Sergeant whatever, Smith or whatever. Yeah, you were right. Yeah, is that Joby Fox? Yeah. I says, oh, yeah. He says, it's about them fucking £50 notes, for Christ's sake. He says, this is fucking ridiculous. And he, seriously, this is what he was. He goes, this is fucking ridiculous. He says, that crowd over there in London has sent us out to arrest you. He says, but they're not coming to Wednesday. It was a Monday, as I recall. And they're not coming to Wednesday. He says, so you'd be fucking sitting in that cell all fucking for the next 2 days. He says, and the whole thing's ridiculous anyway. He says, in Scotland Yard. And I says, I mean, he's telling me this. And I'm going, right? Well, what am I going to do? He was, well, son, now, if you promise me, you'll be down on Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. Them boys are meant to be in here around about 10. Right. He says, you give me your word. He says, you can fucking wait in the house until Wednesday. And then fucking come down. Here's me, what a break, like. Here's me, look, thanks, and all fucking dead on. Here's, now you don't let me down, son. Here's me, no problem. Wednesday came. I bounced down to the fucking Woodburn Barracks as fucking promised. And your man's, the whole time he's going, son, we'll have to stick you in the cell here, he says, for half an hour, stuck me in the cell. Make it look good. The fucking the boys came from Scotland Yard, and, you know, they were just like, where is he, blah, blah, blah. And the cop was saying, that's
Is
a
that
good
people
man.
who were from London?
They came
What
over.
were they going to do? Were you like,
Well, they put me in handcuffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took me on the what do you call it, on the flight, and they said, I always remember they said.
Back to London?
Yeah, they flew me up.
In handcuffs?
Handcuffs, aye. And
You got a free flight
Over a
or
publicity
I
stunt?
got a free flight, aye. Exactly, aye. Fuck's it. Oh, there was quite a bit of what do you call publicity about that too, but I went. They put me in Paddington Green, and I remember when the cop came on the flight, and I remember when it got really serious. He says, "Prisoner on board, non-violent, blah blah blah," and he signed a couple of things. I was like, "Fuck me, man, I'm going for my tea here, you know. I'm fucking like prisoner, like what the fuck and all that." And I'm sitting there, and he was kind of jolly enough, this guy who was sort of beside me, he was jolly enough and everything. But got to the other end. Heathrow, and other cops came along. It sort of got a wee bit more darker, and it was like, you know, I was being sort of chatty and cheerful. This guy, and I was sort of like, "Fuck you up," sort of thing, you know. And I'm like, right, okay, getting in deeper here. So they put me in. It brought me down to Paddington Green, and put me in the cell, sir. And I didn't think it was by myself. I thought it was by myself. Sorry, I didn't. I thought it was by myself all day. I was singing a wee bit, and what do you call it, blah blah blah.
Sorry, was it just you, not the rest of the band?
No, just me.
Why?
Why? Because fuck's the guy from Mollytown. I'd fucking take a rap. Why is there anything else? Like, stick it out there.
So just you that got done for
Me and Liam. I don't know.
Right.
Well, Liam went to see a solicitor or something like that. There was.
You couldn't afford a decent solicitor.
Yeah.
Always get a good solicitor, my friend.
Absolutely, you know. But it was that was it. And
So it didn't come for shaming or anybody?
no, we'd took the rap, you know,
Right.
me and Liam. But when I got out the next morning from Paddington Green into Black Maria, you know,
Right.
and I didn't realise that there were actually other people in the cells.
Right.
And they were going, "Oh, was that you, Irish, last night singing?" I was like, "I have to fucking try and find a bond with people here. Well, this is good, at least." Because I was starting to shit myself. And I says, yeah. And then like three down this way, you're like a fucking in this wee box, and off it goes. And then they start going, "Oi, well, what are you in for, mate?" And the other guy goes, "I was down Oxford Street, mate. I got caught fucking nicking." "All right, what about you?" "I had a bit of a fucking Barney, mate. Fucking didn't have me, blah, blah, blah." And they're all, then he says, "What about you, Irish?" I says, "Counterfeit and forgery." And they all went, "Ooh." And then I went, "I'm going to be all right here." No fucking elevated status, you know what I mean? You know, it was me, I'll do
Big
me,
respect.
You know? Aye, fucking big respect, you know. So, down into the court, blah, blah, blah. Old stale court. The judge is up there, he's fucking elevated up there, you know what I mean? I'm sitting over here, and I look down, I see this guy, he's looking at me really fucking intensely, you know, and I'm saying, that's got to be the guy from the Bank of England. And he's staring me out, you know, and I'm going, all right, whatever, you know. Comes to Exhibit A, Your Honour, you know. So he's sitting away up here, and he has nowhere to go. Like, he's sitting, everybody's looking at him, like. And they pass up the fucking £50 note, you know, the half glasses and all. Hands him up there. All he sees the fucking shoulders starting to go, you know what I mean? He's laughing like fuck, you know, he can't help himself, you know, he's pacing himself. He's trying to keep himself composed, I swear.
Does it have the Queen's head on it?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
so it looks like a bank, and then just on top it says bank robbers appearing at...
Bank robbers appearing. Now, there are a few people that have them still.
Right.
And if I offered them 50 quid, they wouldn't give me it back.
Right.
You know what I mean? So...
Yes.
But if you picked it up, it would take a couple of glances to know that.
100%,
right? Okay.
Especially at a distance, or you know, an old short-sighted lady in a what I call it, a post office or something.
Yes.
And I have to say, a wee bit sinister. At the time, the cocaine was the thing, you know, in London, and if you had a bank robber, £50 note, you know, and you were like, it was a cool thing to have, apparently. I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear
No,
that
it's true,
because
it's
we
true.
don't
I wouldn't
advocate.
know. No,
drug use
So
on
the
this show.
so the judge then has composed himself then.
He pulled himself the car and he says to the clerk, can I hold on to this? And the both of them then had a chuckle, and I was like looking at your mom from the
You'll be
back
all
of
right.
England going, fuck you, cunt. So I only get charged, I think they dropped the charge on the day. They were like, this is ridiculous, and they dropped it to something lesser. But at one point, that's what I was charged with, And I got a fucking £50 fine. Right. So £25. £25.
Which you paid in real money.
Yes.
My
I
bank
made
overnote
sure,
and go,
for fuck's sake.
you owe me 25 quid there, lads.
Exactly. Fuck's sake.
And that was the end of it, was it? That was,
It really was, yeah. They threw me out in the street,
Yeah.
and they just fucking left me there.
and how'd you get home? You pay for your own flight home?
Oh, I had to pay for my own
Oh,
flight
so
home.
they drag you over to London
Oh.
and then they go, I know you're...
Yeah, they turfed me out, and that was it. I was fucking, only have a network of friends. I wouldn't have been able to get home.
So what year was that? Joby, what year?
That would have been 82, 83.
Right. Because the first time we saw you live, well, he's from America, he knows you. But first
Yeah.
time I saw you,
Yeah.
there was a show on the BBC called The Show, a very controversial
That's right.
show, as it
That's-
turned out to be.
First-
it was a
the
live
first-
show.
It was the first.
It
show.
was.
First ever
Energy
live show
Orchard.
with music and bands and interviews and comedy, and that was our first TV break. We wrote some sketches for
I
it.
rember that
But
well.
the very first band on it was
Yeah.
a band called Energy Orchard.
That's right, aye.
Which
That's
was
right,
your
great.
band and playing a very good single called Belfast.
That's right.
And that's how. So Energy Orchard, Bank Robbers '82. So from
Yes.
a bit of when Energy Orchard started, because they were pretty big as well. They were.
We've
really,
done much better, I have to say, than
Than the Bank Robbers?
Yeah, we've done really well. It was global, like.
And what was the lineup for Energy Orchard then?
There we had Bop singing, and
Okay.
we had Kev Breslin, Spade McQuaid, and a couple of the toners there, and the toners had been living in London for a while.
Yeah.
And
You wrote Belfast, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
I wrote Belfast.
Great song.
Yeah, well, thank you. But I wrote that when I was 17, believe it
Yeah.
or not. And it was many years later when I was signed to MC Records and we were just about to put out the album. One of the record representatives was down in the rehearsal, and me and Bob were messing around with it. And he was saying, "What is that song?" And we said, "Belfast." And he says, "That's going to be the first
I
single."
know you so well. You're
like
like
heaven. You're like hell.
And Liam Carville turned to me one day after years and went, "You're like Kevin, you're like hell." And he went, "Who is Kevin anyway?"
Very good.
Fucking cracker.
So Energy Orchard were like
Yeah, we done well.
Belton at one
Oh,
stage, right?
yeah. We got a chart success. So we got a number 1 in Ireland. Well, I don't know anybody can get number 1 in Ireland, but we did that. It sounds good when you leave Ireland, what I mean? It always sounds good, But we had fucking 3
Good
years
time.
of just fucking yeah.
And was that
2
rock and
months of
roll?
fucking good time.
Where did
was rock and roll lifestyle, was it?
Oh fuck me! I ended up in mental hospital. I ended up in a fucking mental hospital.
How did
Albeit
that-
I didn't need to be
How did
there.
that come about? Like what was going on?
Touring, and 18 months solid. Say that we're doing whatever. Our itinerary was absolutely chocker blocked for 18 months, and we'd already done that stuff.
Is this
with
in
it.
America or Europe or wherever?
You name it. You name it. We did maybe not the Middle East or Australia or
Right.
Asia, but America, Europe, or whatever.
We see if we do a bit of touring ourselves
Yeah.
for a month, like around Northern Ireland. It's
Yeah.
even, but you're touring. You're talking about it all over the world in America. So there's a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
But it's just turning up on stage doing a gig. Can you not just go home and read a book and maybe go to mass, find out where mass is, or go to the library, go to the park?
Why weren't
or,
you in my fucking
would you-
band, man?
But instead you had to overindulge and drink too much and take too many drugs. Is that what you're saying?
Why don't you feel a
Is
wee
that what
white
you're
thing in
saying?
that black shirt wearing fucking,
Could you
really
not
make it
have
look
just
good?
looked after yourself? Joby,
I
is what
wish
I'm saying.
I
Could
wish
you not have looked after?
Tim, where was fucking you, mum? When I met you? What I mean? That's all I can say.
No, but to be slightly serious, so you did
Yeah.
end up on a medal. Was that because of overindulgence, shall we say? Yeah,
Totally.
and you admit that. I mean, I thought
Fuck,
you're not hiding
100%.
that. You're not saying,
No,
but
it was fucking,
and it was like Charlie and what have you, and
Everything else, yeah,
Right.
and
And it was that. I mean, I'm not in that world. It's so
Yeah.
freely available now, but even back then, no hassle getting anything you want whenever you want.
I remember one of our first tours, and a guy came in and said, you know, one of the roadies, what do you want? And we were like, you know, well, I'll have a beer. And, no, what do you fucking want, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like, and, you know, and it sort of took it from there. You know, sometimes the roadies that were, you know, would come and we had our own stable roadies, but people come along and they were like, you know, and it was there and, you know, you did.
Yeah.
And before you knew it, you were drinking and taking coke and all of that. And 18 months of an itinerary, I had a child in between that time, you know.
Right.
And I was just trying to keep myself, you know, fucking sane, really, and ironically. But, you know, it just came all of a sudden, you know, and it was, I think it was like speed, I think. Someone would give speed, and it was, you know, it was supposed to be coke, you know. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't really think about drugs as a big problem, really. You know, it was always around. I didn't actually overindulge, being honest, you know. But occasionally it was an end of a tour thing, and I couldn't sleep for about 3 or 4 days, for fuck's sake. And then when I went to a meeting in London, we had an office in Old Crompton Street. I looked down there, and the fucking manager looked at me and went, you know, what the fuck? He says, you know, I'm booking you in this clinic for 2 weeks. I say it's a mental hospital, but it really was, you know.
Yeah.
And he booked me into a fucking clinic for 2 weeks, and I was in there, and God bless his soul, and I mean that sincerely. And in some ways, I don't really feel right about telling the story, but you know, because it's this guy's great soul, so he was. But there's people there that were like minor celebrities and all of that. Let's just say, you know, there was people in there, and they didn't. This guy didn't make it at all, you know.
Right.
And you know, he just it was very, very sad. But I pulled myself together. Sort of.
Did that take long?
No, well, it did. It did. I initially pulled myself together after a couple of weeks. Come back home here, and done a couple of events with Aaron Short, done videos and all.
What helped you pull together? You had a child, you said. It was a
and
family
all the
coming back
family,
here.
yeah.
Was it kind of different
Needed
atmosphere
to.
and all of that?
I needed to come home just, and you know, I was just out too far, if you know what I mean, on my own and all of that. And then the band were like, to be honest with you, it would be, you know, trauma from the actual, all the band were having kind of like mass trauma too, you know what I mean, collective trauma from the troubles and some personal matters, you know, that were just playing out. And, you know, as I say, throw in fucking heavy schedule, drink, drugs, fucking personal problems, people tugging at you, a wee bit of fucking fame or whatever you would call it, and it's just a bad mixture, you know. You're ahead. It's just everybody. I was the first one to go, but everybody subsequently went.
All right, you were the first to go.
I was like, I'll take it here, lads.
Joby leads the way.
Where's the parachute? There isn't one. Fucking go ahead.
And then what happened with Energy Orchard then today?
They limped on after I signed myself out of the band. Right. And they limped on. I got a good deal. out of the whole brand, the franchise and all, and the songs and all that.
Yeah.
And Bob then went on and spent a lot of time in Los Angeles. I didn't want to spend time in Los Angeles. I wanted to spend time in Ireland because we're an Irish band. And I felt very strongly about that. But it wasn't going nowhere. They were kind of still in the seduction stage, whereas I'd been signed to EMI Records before. Right. So I kind of knew, you know, fuck that shit, you know. How much money do I have in the fucking bank? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I was thinking, you know what I mean? I got a family, I got this, I got that. And they were still on the fucking trip, you know.
So when did you leave Energy Orchard then? When you were
91.
Right, 91. And can I ask, do you still get royalties and stuff?
Yes.
Did you make a living out of Energy Orchard?
No.
But you get bits and pieces that would keep you going? Like,
yeah. You get sometimes you get a nice wee check, but other times it's like fucking deadly squat, like. Right. You know, wouldn't get you a shite in a railroad, as my ma used to say.
So it's not like, you know. Merry Christmas, everyone. You're not getting.
No. What sustains me really at the moment is I have written a few songs and you know, in a solo capacity and put them out there, and you do get the royalties are not bad, you know what I mean. But you know, a gig in Denmark, and you know they pay you like I could do a gig for a fucking hour and a half and get 500 quid. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? So, you know, and so on and so forth, you know. And I'm living out there, so I've sort of lapped on
Denmark,
a bit there. So blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm getting by.
Well, look, before we talk about Denmark and stuff like that, we have to talk about another serious aspect of your life, very serious aspect of your life. You've been in bands, you're taking drugs, you have a mental breakdown, you're back to normal, and then you go, I know what I'll do.
Who said it was back to normal?
Well, you're doing bits and pieces, you're writing music.
What's your assessment of the situation?
You go, I know what I'll do.
I'm looking at a certificate here. You know, he's normal. That's it. He's
I'll help rescue people who are drowning in the Mediterranean, which is
that's it.
basically come up with. We know there's major issues with refugees and all of that. But you were in the island. Was it Lesbos you were in? Which is the Greek island of Lesbos?
How did you end up there? What was it?
Well, you know, I'd been back to Belfast after Annie's Orchard, and it was like fucking wilderness years, let's call them. And, you know, fueled by alcohol still. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I started developing this fucking kind of social political fucking thing about my art form, if you like it, about writing and all of that. And you know, but previous to that, there it had to be commercially, you know, through a filter. You didn't be too political or whatever. Whereas with me, now, I didn't have a record company or anything like that. I just started getting interested in that and the social political, you know, ideas. I have ideas and all of that. So I woke up one day and I went, well, how do you express this? You know, how do I actually express what I'm thinking, feeling, my views? And I went, fuck it, I'm a songwriter. You know what I mean? Ta-da! Eureka moment. And I just started marrying those two things together. And I started writing and I started getting into all of that. I done an album called The End of the War and done a movie, a short film called Lost Commandos, which is shot up in, what do you call it, Stormont Estate with 4 commandos with AK-47s. Wouldn't happen now. Sophie, my partner, worked at the BBC. She got it cleared as a location. 3-day shoot. Cops with us the whole time. Yeah, running around the place. I'll show you. You go out to Vimeo and get it out there. It's called Lost Commandos, and sort of like it was post-conflict, like Lost Commandos in the sense that yes, they were lost, but they were the whole thing about paramilitarism. It was having a sort of a go at that there. And exploring that whole thing. And, you know, when I went on and, you know, I was getting out there, people started inviting me to Hong Kong, New York, different people, you know, peace people and different initiatives. And, you know, I was doing that for a while and I felt that I could actually continue to do that for quite a bit. You know, I was getting offers from fucking some strange places, you know, maybe Columbia University or whatever like that, blah, blah, blah. I just said, fuck this, you know, I kind of sort of had got it out of my system. I'd done it for a year or two and I could have went on doing it, picking up a bit of money or whatever. But I went, no, you know, fuck this. So I've sort of got that out of my system and it was good and it was very interesting. And I launched it from Stormont too, funny enough. But and it was pretty palatable to apparently the both two sides or whatever. But I then started an initiative called Folktown in Kelly Sellers, the Presbyterian church there, and the first Catholic church in Belfast. And I run King Street Arts. So St. Mary's. St. Mary's. Yeah. So I discovered then that the Presbyterian Church had
paid for it.
Help finances.
Sorry, not all of it. Paid for it.
Yeah, so they were giving it the nod, and I thought, what a wonderful story, you know, and what you know, people need to know more about this, you know. So I started this initiative along with Sophie and a few others, and got the buy-in from the council and from government also. And they helped to sort of pave the way. And I thought, how do you bring people together in this space? And I went, a market. So I know nothing about markets. So started a market. We had to change a 400-year-old law, first of all, which was Lord Chichester fucking arriving with his winkle pickers on the fucking, you know, with a scroll out going, I now declare that fucking we own the franchise from city, 10 miles in city council. So we changed all that. So all those years. So the question was, how did they end up there? And that's the reason why I'm leading into it like this. I put years, me and Sophie and others, into this fucking community initiative. And when, what do you call it, burnt down? What do you call that store that burnt down?
Primark,
yeah. At the square that we had, and we went to the Social Economy Bank, and borrowed 25 grand, and things were going well. Overnight, they took the fucking square away.
Right.
And like, you know, that was it. Suddenly then, if we had the run events, which were a run event every week, would have been £1,000. So they just that just got at me. I was like, fuck this. Me and Sophie and a few others, say, had really put a lot into this thing, and then that's something like that happens. You know, commercial forces fucking win over every fucking time. You know what I mean? That's it. So I was pretty gutted, and we'd done this art piece, me and Sophie. It was a public art thing. If you go around the Kelly Cellars along the wall there, myself and Sophie had done that. We won at Fern Square, and we made maybe 20 grand from it, 10 grand each. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I do have a bit of a benevolent streak in me, like, I'm going. And then the Syrian war kicked off, and I was just seeing, like everybody else at the time, what was unfolding, you know, on our screens, and I was gutted. And you know, I seen what I call it, Julie Livingstone shot by a plastic bullet. You know, the quick aftermath of it, about a minute before she was hit. And I always seen that as an injustice, and stuck in my craw all my life. And I own it because it was there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I stuck in my craw, and I seen how that was dealt with.
Sorry, just down because people won't know that she was shot by a plastic bullet.
She was shot by a plastic
hunger
bullet.
Strikes, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was a hunger strike.
Was it?
Was it during hunger strikes? There's actually a play.
14-year-old girl. Yeah. 14-year-old girl, and I don't think anybody was ever done for it. If I'm
I don't
right.
think so.
I don't think so. But
I don't think so. But yeah, you know, and it's like many things happened, of course, but that was one I was there and I owned it.
You were there for that?
I'd seen the aftermath of it, but the reason why I'm connecting the two is because, you know, all these people in the sea and drowning children, men, women, whatever, and being from West Belfast and just being human, really, and just going, well, how the fuck? I mean, if you can land a man on the fucking moon, you know, and you can't, Turkey's there, Lesbos is there, at 10 miles square, they're only coming across from, say, Larne to fucking Bangor or something. How the fuck can you not, what I call it, manage to fucking get in there and fucking rescue these people? And clearly it was clear, even from here, before it went down, like it was being allowed to happen. Yeah. So I was like, fuck this. I was
sorry, this is people who illegal immigrants who were going to, and they were fleeing the war, they were in Libya or whatever, and they were coming across to Lesbos.
Lesbos. I'll just
because
explain
that was Greece
the geography.
And that was EU,
yeah, I'll just explain the geography. From Turkey, the Syrian war, millions were pouring out.
Yeah.
And many of them were going across land, but, you know, a whole smuggler network sprung up. And, you know, they were saying to these people, you know, we'll get you up into Europe. If you get over to this island, you'll be in Europe and you claim asylum. Yeah. So they were being exploited, you know, and they were getting into these rubber dinghies, which were like not fit for 60 people. And they had the children in the middle, the women round here, and then the men were sitting up on the rubber bits. And they were spitting them out every day. And there was people, what would happen would, the sea would get really choppy sort of out there, and it would fall apart, and many of them would just drown. So I went down there, and I said to Sophie, and she says, go down there, Joe, you know, and off I went. And I was only going to go for about 2 weeks, I thought, and get it off my chest and say, well, like, I done something, you know what I mean? I just done something, and that's what I thought I was going to do. But when I got down there, there was a few other people like me along this coast, Lesbos in Greece, just facing Turkey, who had been the same as me, had sort of reacted that way. There was locals that were reacting. So there's about 50 or 60 civilian sort of network along there trying to help these people come across. And many days, 1,000 people at a time would come across, and then the whole boats would just drown. And I'd seen one just drown in front of me. Thank God it was far enough away. I didn't see much of the detail, but it was just, the impact of it was horrific. And then, like, just seeing the people coming in and just going, fuck me, you know, they're just ordinary people, just like with kids, gripping their kids, and you know, the fucking emotional impact of it was just obviously for them. But, you know, I was just like, fuck, you know, and after 3 or 4 days, I was crying all the fucking time, to be honest with you. I'm not ashamed to say it. I met this Irish girl in the Mayhem on the first day, and then I met her about 3 days later. From that day, I went down. I didn't stop. It was like 4 hours sleep, and then get up again, help. And then I met her again, and I was crying most of the time. And she was like, And I spotted her and I said, how are you doing, like? Because it was all different, other nationalities. And she says, I'd be fucking all right if I could stop fucking crying. So we laugh like fuck, you know.
Yeah.
We're like taking people off the fucking boats, laughing like fuck, you know. And that sort of turned the corner too. So I was there for
So
2
sorry,
weeks.
you were on boats, kind of be saving people.
Well, I was
who
on
were-
the shore at that point.
Right,
You know,
right.
there's a couple of stories there, and they're pretty traumatic. You know what I mean? I don't know. They're fucking hardly entertaining. You know, let's put it that
Yeah.
way. But there were pivotal moments. You know, there was. I tell this story of a going into the water at night, and the boat of full of people, rubber dinghy, hit the rocks and they dispersed everywhere. And thank God we worked along with these Swiss Army guys, and they lit the whole place up and they lit the rocks up. So we're only 5, 6 volunteers went out under the rocks, and it's pretty fucking horrific, like, you know. And I'm not much of a swimmer, and the people are panicking, and I jumps in, and I stayed close to the rocks because the rest of the guys were good swimmers, and they were feeding them up to me, you know, and I was pushing them up on the rocks, like wet rats, you know what I mean? And you're pushing them up, and the lights are shining out. It's really unbelievable. The weather was just fucking crazy, like, and one guy was going after this little bag, you know, little satchel bag, and I was shouting at him, you know, fuck, you know. No, come on.
Forget the bag.
Forget the fucking bag, you know?
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, blah, blah, blah. Eventually he gets the bag after a couple of attempts. He takes the bag, he drags it, and he comes over to me because he sees me and pushing people up. He was one of the last ones. And he puts the bag up on the rocks. And fucking goes like that. It was a wee baby. It was a fucking baby, you know?
In the bag.
In the bag. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah, so you thought he was just going for a bag.
a
but
bag, and you know, and it was like
Phone or something,
I was
yeah.
going to wring his neck, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But you know, and then when you see the baby, and we looked at each other, and that was a moment. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need fucking dramatic content, fucking weaved into that fucking story. You know what I mean? That was the moment, you know, for me, really.
Yeah.
Fuck me, wow, and off he went, and so that 2 weeks was really chaotic, and I felt that I had, you know, corny as it sounds, like a sense of duty to my fellow human beings. And I knew that if I walked through this metaphoric door, I knew it was going to fucking close shut behind me, and I wasn't coming back. And that's the only way I can explain it. And I went, fuck it. And I have quite an industrial mind from my days from the bag rovers, the energy orchard, doing community stuff and all the rest of it. So I was really not trying to engage that part of my brain. I was just going, just help, be tactile, blah, blah, blah. And I said, fuck it, we need to take this up another level. You know, we need to get out on the water where it fucking counts. But the whole thing around at that time where people saying, don't go in the water, you're going to be complicit, you know, because the authorities were saying, don't anybody go out there and save their people. Yeah. And I just went, I'm from fucking Riverdale, mate. I'll fucking go out the water I fucking want. All right?
What are rules for but to be broke?
Exactly,
As we say.
You know what I mean? I fucking, know what I mean? You know, I sucked diesel, man. I sucked diesel. So I went, fuck it. And went back home. The BBC were fucking amazing. You know, this is what people don't tell you.
The BBC?
The BBC, I'm afraid to say.
No, don't be afraid to say. We like the BBC.
Yeah, you know, when I get home, I get calls from producers that come on in and what are you trying to do? And I mentioned the fact I was trying to get a boat to come on in, we'll help you with blah, 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 platform this. And so they did. And that was brilliant. And
you basically bought a boat to go out to see whether there was boats coming in, rubber dinghies, and people drowning, you'd be there to kind of rescue them.
SAR,
Right.
SAR, search and rescue.
Right.
Yeah, and I knew I could organise the search and rescue teams to come down. If I got the boat,
Right.
it was me and another artist, Jude Bennett. And if we got the boat, so we were looking for money at that point for the boat, helps. And we got contacted by so I would come back from Lesbos, back to Belfast. The media really helped. So we were able to platform the idea. Jude Bennett contacted me, another great artist, from Belfast, and we bonded and created a partnership. And then a famous artist contacted us and said, I've heard about your initiative. You know, it was all out in the news. It was the big thing at the time. How much money do you need? And we were like, you know, we asked for a certain amount of money, which I'll tell you what the sum of money was. It was 35 grand. But if we had asked for more, we always deeply regret this, because if we'd have said 100 grand, he would have went, aye, no problem.
Right.
Anyway, we said 35. And he says, as long as I remain anonymous.
Who is it?
No, this is what I said. I said, look, Elton, your fucking thing's fucking... You're what I call it, your secret safe for me, Elton, I says. Okay. So, what I call it, no, it wasn't Elton John.
No.
Someone actually says, was it Elton John? I said, fucking take the hook out of your mouth for fuck's sake, wake up. Anyway, so... give us 35 grand. It was a guy, it was an artist who...
So it wasn't Elton John. I think we're pretty sure it wasn't Nigel Farage.
It wasn't him. Yeah, now you're fucking talking, man. So it wasn't him. So we're working our way through the 7 other billion people, that possibilities. But no, he was very, very, very wonderful. If this guy farted in a fucking bottle, he could sell it for a couple of million quid.
Right.
He was an artist, arty-farty thing. And he just says, don't tell anybody. And the truth is, not many people would know him anyway. Yeah. So I'll tell you off air. But not many people would know him. So we got the boat, and we were like, fuck, what are we going to do now? You know what I mean?
How many people have you rescued for this?
25,000, not me personally,
Not
of course.
you personally, yeah. No, but the project.
That. The project is
it's still going. Can you contribute to it? Can you?
Well, we're in a strange fucking space at the moment, because we've just had 4 years out in the Mediterranean. We moved from Lesbos out into the Med, and we're working with a boat or ship called CI4, and we were the SAR capacity,
What about the politics of the Greeks and the Italians? Or they go, fucking, the last thing we need is you. We want to deter people. So we want, this is horribly cynical, but even the right way go, let them drown. Actually, that'll deter them. That's
worse than that. It's worse than that, Tim.
There's people basically saying that.
Yeah, it's worse.
The Italian and Greek governments going, well, look, you're out there, you're rescuing them. They know, the smugglers know there's people coming here. There'll be someone, they'll be rescued. Don't worry. So the people there to rescue, therefore they can get away with it.
The pull factor,
yeah,
is what they call it. They call it the pull factor, and obviously in the political sort of dynamic of it, so-called political dynamic, we're humanitarians, and we don't care who is in the water and how they got there. We're there as humanitarians. We're non-political. Our organisation is completely non-political, and we make sure that that's the case. So it's about humanity, and it's about like the fire service, like the.
If you're in the water, you're not there voluntarily.
You're not there for there's children there, there's people there, and we're there to do that. We're there as a service to save lives, and that's our only remit is to save lives. And whatever anybody wants to politicise or politic around that, they can do that when we put the people on the land, wherever it is. Yeah. They can politic all they want after that. It's outside our jurisdiction. We can do nothing about it. So that's how we see ourselves. And for all them, for all those people out there who would be sitting at home going, fuck them, leave them there and all the rest of it, I would say challenge them to, you look into the eyes of a man holding 2 children, and he doesn't know which one to let go. Do you know what I mean? You look into those pair of eyes and tell me what you would do. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, fuck that. You know what I mean? Fuck.
Joby, that's kind of serious note to end on, but we've done nearly an hour. We've done over an hour.
How lucky you were.
Exactly. An hour of your time is what, 500 quid if you were singing?
Oh, you see that? See where I feel that in there?
Yeah. Joby Fox is available, by the way, in Denmark. You're living in Denmark now?
Yes, I live in Denmark.
You live in Denmark. Very good. Life treating you well in Denmark. You love it.
Love it.
And you're still involved with the charity. You're still writing. You're still making films and bits and pieces and short stories. You're writing a novel
called what I call Mohammed Mukara.
Right.
And I've just finished a series of short stories on an audio format called But Anyway.
I've heard a few of them, and they're very, very good.
Yeah, well,
recommend
thank you.
them.
Right. Have you a website or something people need to go
JobyFox.com.
JobyFox. Joby, thank you very much for being on our
Tim.
podcast.
Right.
Genuinely enjoyed that. And thank you very much, West Belfast, for increasing the fuck count on this podcast by about 700%.
Fuck the lot of
you
you.
Westies.
Exactly.
It's not the BBC, but listen, Joby, absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you for doing doing this. Thank you very much to our sponsor, Cambridge Barbershops. Remember, there are 2 Cambridge Barbershops. Joby's going to go up and get his beard trimmed. So ask for Sean Lawler, great guy, on the Lisburn Road, and one again on the bottom of Stranmillis, just near Queens there. Cambridge Barbershop, thank you very much. We will see you again on the next episode of the Give My Head podcast. Thank you, Joby Fox.
You're very welcome. Thank you.